let's talk about payment and processing. This is a really important aspect. A lot of therapists aren't comfortable collecting money from their clients, and this has to be part of the process. Guys, you got to get paid for your time. Not only is this about giving them a great service, it's about you getting paid for the service. So make sure you have the ability to accept credit cards. I highly suggest going online. These lovely little square readers, they will send them to you in this little packet. Super easy to open up. And the great thing about this is it just hooks like right into your phone. You just plug it into the phone and you can just slide a credit card right through this little slip here. And it will literally read the card, and you can download this money right into your bank account. And the great thing about this Square chip reader is that you can create your services inside of it. So you can go in there and say, I want to charge $100 for 1 hour. I want to charge $150 for 90 minutes, and I want to charge $200 for a 2 hour. And it will be in there so that way you can just punch in 1 hour massage. You can take the client's card, swipe it through, and it will go right into your bank account. And there's an area in which they can add tip, and you can add the custom tips there for 10%, 15%, 20, 30%, whatever you'd like to add in there. So that way it's really easy and convenient for the client to go 20%, sign name, send. And then they can email themselves a receipt or they can text themselves a receipt. So really convenient way for you to constantly get your funds. Makes it fast and simple. And everybody has a credit card on them. Everybody has access to be able to pay. So it's a wonderful tool. I highly suggest you get it if you are still accepting checks, because guys, checks is the worst form of payment. If you accept a check from someone when you arrive at their home, there is no guarantee that that check is going to work when you get to the bank. No guarantee at all. I mean, that check can completely bounce. I had 2 therapists who went and did a couples massage. Appointment had already been paid for because we only accept credit cards at our company. And when the therapist got there, the client didn't have any cash and wanted to leave a tip, so he wrote 2 checks, $500 each, right? Huge tip, huge tip. And the client had been very late and had done several services back to back, so the client really wanted to give them, a beautiful tip. Now, one therapist cashed the check and it cashed, and she got her $500 and she was thrilled. The other therapist cashed their check, and guess what? It bounced, and they did not get their $500, and they were very sad. And of course, when I reached out to the client said, no. Why? Because it's a tip, because it's not a guarantee. So you really want to have access to a card reader with a credit card in which the person can sign their name right in that moment and give you whatever tip they're feeling in that moment based off of how their body is feeling from your service. And when you do a check, it is not a guarantee it's not going to bounce. I've heard so many horror stories about this. I highly, highly recommend you do not accept a check as a form of payment. Now, I know good old cash is wonderful and it's nice, and cash is great when you are accepting a gratuity of any kind from your client. Only problem with cash is if you have any kind of cancellation policy, there is no way for you to be able to receive those funds. Do you think if your client calls you an hour before your appointment and you have a cancellation policy and they pay you in cash, the next time they see you, they're going to pay you for that service they called out on? They're not going to do it. They're not going to pay you. Now, if you have a credit card on file and you can charge them, no problem. You charge them for that service because they canceled late. You've got to think about the long term, not just short term. I understand that cash is instant gratification. Everybody loves cash. Cash, you can go anywhere and use it and buy, and all is good. But it doesn't help you create a long-term business plan. It doesn't help you for last-minute cancellations. So you got to think bigger picture here, guys. Now, I know a lot of therapists love creating package deals in which the client pays for so many services ahead of time. Now, this is really great if you have a cancellation policy, because if they bought a package of 10 massages for $800 instead of $1,000, and they were all $100 services, now you get to charge them for one. They canceled you an hour before your appointment, no problem. You're going to just charge them for one of those 1 hour services. So that is the beauty of the package. Now, the downfall of the package is you have just undersold your services. Because if a client loves you, they're going to keep paying for that service over and over again. They are, because you're worth it to them. There's no reason why they wouldn't want to keep paying you for that service. So when you do a package deal, it's at a discounted rate. Although it does give you those funds in your hand right away, one, you have to be conscientious that you don't spend the money before you make it, meaning you haven't done all those massages yet. You haven't earned the money, and you're still going to have to do the massage later. Two, you've underpriced yourself, so make sure that you're only giving a small discount when you're looking at your package price. Think like 10, 20%, depending on how large your package is that you're offering to your client. Because you don't want to undervalue. And if you make that price too low for that package, although that client's going to grab it because they're excited about it, you're not going to want to go and do those services. When all of a sudden your massage is only worth, $40 a treatment, you're not going to want to go do those services. So make sure that when you're valuing your time to drive there and to see that client, that it's going to be worth it and you're going to want to go. You are valuable. So you have priced yourself so that way you're happy that you have the work and that you get to go do it, and the client is happy with what they paid. You want to make sure that you feel valuable and you have forms of payment in which you can charge a client accordingly. Never leave yourself in a vulnerable position where you're only accepting cash for a service and you've walked into a scenario in which you're uncomfortable and you want to leave and you have no ability to be able to charge your client. This is why I require a credit card before I even come to your home. I already have a credit card on file. So if a problem arises, I can charge that client. If they late cancel, if they no-show, I can charge that client. I don't know who they are when I'm going to their house. I want to make sure I have a form of payment on file. You should too. You're valuable, you're worth it. And in the day and age we live in, there's no reason why you can't have a credit card on file and charge them ahead of time. And there's many services that you can use where you can just send them a bill. I mean, you can use QuickBooks to be able to keep all of your clients in one place, and you can send them a bill through QuickBooks. It's very easy to do. And you guys, you have to log your expenses anyhow. You need some form, an area in which you are keeping track of expenses, of income, and where that income's coming from. There's many ways to be able to send them a bill where they can pay online. They can Zelle you, they can do PayPal, they can do Venmo, you can have a credit card reader. All of these are options, but make sure you're paid accordingly. You're valuable. So logging your expenses is a must. You gotta do it. Your income and your expense. So I highly recommend you get on QuickBooks or you create a Google Sheet in which you are logging all of your expenses. If you're gonna be a mobile therapist, you have the ability of writing off everything from your car to your gas, to your insurance, to your sheets, to your detergent, to your laundry. This is a business you're running, and you have the ability to be able to write off all of these opportunities and expenses that you're paying for, and you gotta log it, guys. Because all of a sudden it'll be the end of the year, you'll have all this income that you've made, and you'll have no way to account for it. When you create a uniform for yourself, you get to write that off. When you're driving to a client's house, there's gas, there's mileage, you get to write that off. Log it all. Make QuickBooks your friend. Make accounting your friend. Create a Google Sheet. If you're not willing to pay the price point for QuickBooks, that's fine. Create a Google Sheet and create an income and expense sheet. But constantly journal it, write it down, take note of it. It's imperative that you have it at the end of the year. You want to be able to have those write-offs so that way as you start your business, you can see. You can see what your business cost you and you can see what your business made you. You gotta have some accountability here, guys. So it's imperative that you start this process now. Not later, not 6 months from now, not in a year when it's time for taxes, right now. Keep your receipts, log everything, document. You'll be so thankful you did.